And welcome back, folks, to hashtag AskGSM, the weekly Monday mailbag video where I answer your questions from Facebook and Twitter right here in this video forum. We are here on Monday, May 19th, 2014, Kane's favorite day of the year. For those of you dating back to See No Evil, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But nevertheless, this will be the last video that you see me film from this setting, or at least hashtag AskGSM video, my final day of freshman year today. This will be the final day I will be in the store. I'm moving out later on this afternoon. I did film some vlogs here a couple weeks ago that have yet to go up on the channel. Will be airing in the coming weeks, so you will see some videos. Me talking in this setting, in this room, but they were from a few weeks ago. But any future videos will be from home for the next couple months because I will be home on summer vacation until September, until I have to come back here to college. So, but this will be the final time I will be in this dorm, so embrace it while you can. But nevertheless, a lot of great questions today for hashtag AskGSM, starting with the Facebook questions. A lot of great Facebook questions. I think maybe the most Facebook questions we've ever gotten. The people from Facebook that like my Facebook page are always great. Thanks to those guys, especially Twitter too. They're always awesome as well. But a lot of great questions this week. Kicking it off with Cody C. His question was, which one do you think is the better podcast, Chris Jericho or Stone Cold Steve Austin, and why? Both are great podcasts. I got into Jericho's in about December when I've been listening to his since day one. Steve Austin's I think I got into because of Jericho's because I know they were on the same website, and I listened to Steve Austin's interview with Daniel Bryan in early December as well. So I started listening to them around the same time. Both are great. JR is great too. You forgot to mention that one. I don't listen to Roddy Piper's, if only because I just don't have the time. I already listened to two other podcasts, the Solo Monster, and the Runaway Thoughts, which is not wrestling related, but I listen to those as well on a weekly basis. So I don't have enough time to listen to Roddy Piper's, but his is good too, from what I've heard. But between Jericho and Stone Cold, both are great. It depends what you're looking for, because Jericho, people complain to him from what he said that he doesn't have wrestling stars on all the time, because he always has some music stars on there too. He has some people from the entertainment industry. He said some directors. He said some singers. He said some musicians, wrestlers, of course. But they're always entertaining. I've been listening to every single episode, whoever it is, whether it be his son, he's had there on a few times, whether it be a musician or an actor or a director or a wrestler. I always listen to it, regardless. That's just me because I love to listen to Jericho's talking and podcast and whatnot. So I just listen to it anyway. Stone Cold is much more wrestling related and down to earth. He talks more about the business, as does JR. Whenever Jericho has been wrestling guests, it's always great. He's had on Daniel Bryan last week, which was great. He's had on Cesaro. He's had on The Miz, Santino, Natalia, and many, many more. So that's always fun to listen to. Stone Cold's had a lot of great guests too. I think he's having Triple H on in a couple weeks. Undertaker might be on it at some point as well. So both are great. Better one to listen to. I would go with Stone Cold's. I always enjoy Stone Cold's, as does Jericho's, but as a wrestling fan, which I'm pretty sure most of you are, obviously, if you're watching this video, Stone Cold's is the one to check out. Jared J, his question was, check out Jericho's too, but Stone Cold's is much more wrestling fan related as to Jericho's, as opposed to Jericho's, which is more entertainment based. But anyway, Jared J, his question was, do you think a current/former main roster star should ever win the NXT title? For example, Tyson Kidd or Natalia at TakeOver? That's a very good question. I don't want to say a main roster star should never win the NXT championship, but I would more than likely say not. If only because just let the NXT stars win it. Adrian Neville, Paige, Emma. I mean, they're on the main roster now, but it's hard to say because I don't want to say never because there obviously are some exceptions. Tyson Kidd is a guy that isn't on the main roster most of the time. I mean, the guy came back in November from injury and they never fucking used him at all. That annoyed me, though. That annoyed the hell out of me. But at least they're using him on NXT. He's had great matches. So I don't want to say never. I don't want to say they should never put the NXT title on a main roster star unless they are NXT based, like a Mason Ryan. I know he's gone now, but he kind of transformed into an NXT superstar for good. He was never on the main roster at the end of his run. But I would sway away from it. I would just keep the gold on the up-and-coming stars. I wouldn't say never, but more than likely I would just keep the title on the guys like Adrian Neville, Sami Zayn, Tyler Breeze. Keep the spotlight on those kind of guys, and having guys like Tyson Kidd, like Brodus Clay, Cesaro, having those guys down in NXT produces better matches. Not only that, but it also gives up-and-coming NXT stars like the Adrian Neville, Sami Zayn, Tyler Breeze, like I mentioned before, it gives them bigger wins. So say Adrian Neville is to defeat Tyson Kidd at TakeOver. That's a big win because he's technically a main roster star. Is he ever on the main roster? No, but Tyson Kidd is a credible guy, former tag team champion on the main roster, has had a lot of success, not as much success as I would like him to, but he's had quite a bit of success on the main roster, being on there for 5 years. So he is an established superstar, and a win over him does mean quite a bit for someone like an Adrian Neville. So absolutely, I think it's great to have those guys down in NXT. Should they ever win the championship, Tyson Kidd, and maybe down the line, but I would sway away from it. Richie V, his question was, who do you think will be 2014's breakout superstars in the WWE? Little late on this, of course, because it's May, but even still, we're almost at the halfway point of the year, which is insane to even think about. But a few guys that I put down Roman Reigns, which is an obvious one. The Shield this year has been hot as hell, even as baby faces. They've been great. It's been enjoying their run like crazy. Since their start in 2012, they've been perfectly booked. But Roman Reigns specifically is the guy they're going to be building towards to be the breakout superstar of the group. Bray Wyatt is an obvious one. He's feuding with the face of the company, and Bray Wyatt are in John Cena right now, so that's an obvious one. Cesaro is obviously another one who broke out at WrestleMania when he won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, became a Paul Heyman guy, not doing much right now, but he is a breakout superstar. I could see him contending for a world title by the end of the year. Paige is an obvious one, turned to be the champion, and Rusev is another one too. Rusev, I don't think he deserves some of the hate that he gets from some people. I think he's a talented guy. He's not the most exciting superstar in the world, but they've been building him up well, so I have no problem with that. He's probably going to be a breakout superstar. Will he be the next Vladimir Kozlov, main event, go undefeated for a while, and then just fade off into obscurity? You never know. I think it's too early to tell, of course, but I think he is talented enough where he is being the push is warranted in his case. I think Kozlov, it was too soon. Rusev was down at NXT for a while before he came up to the main roster, so I'm fine with him getting a push. Andre G, his question was, already know your top 5 favorite wrestlers, so who's your top 5 least favorite wrestlers? Good question. I have my favorite wrestler is a much, much longer list than my least favorite wrestlers, which is probably the opposite for a lot of people. I know a lot of people that hate a lot of wrestlers, only like maybe 2 or 3. I'm the exact opposite. I like a lot of wrestlers. I don't like a very few. The only few that come to mind, CJ Parker, I despise. And it's not that I just despise these people. I just despise them as wrestlers. I respect them as human beings. I mean, they're pro wrestlers who put their bodies on the line. I respect that. But as wrestlers, as a mark of the business, so to speak, I just don't like them. CJ Parker, Zema Ion annoys the fuck out of me. I was fond of him as a babyface when he first came in, but ever since he turned heel back like 3 or 4 years ago in TNA, I have hated him ever since. Big Show, I like. Big Show is cool, but the guy's got to go. I know he doesn't wrestle much anymore, but Big Show annoys the hell out of me whenever especially as a babyface. He's better fitted as a heel. But even still, Big Show I just don't like. He's got to hang it up pretty soon. Great Khali, I think, is an obvious one. His music, is great. I think his music is very fun. But even still, he shouldn't be wrestling. I don't know where he's been, but thank God he hasn't been wrestling. But even still, I don't like him. R-Truth, loved him as a heel, not so much as a babyface. Jinder Mahal, and I don't want you to call me racist because they put 2 Indian guys on here. Any of that bullshit. I do like Jinder Mahal, like when he 3 or 4 years ago when he first came in, but they botched his booking. They put him in fucking 3MB. He's been boring to me ever since, so I don't like Jinder Mahal. And Santino too. I mean, he can be funny at times, but he's been well past farther than he should. I know he's fine in some cases. Like I said, he can be entertaining at times, but he's run its course. The character has run its course. It's got to go. Complete waste of time. It annoys the hell out of me every time it comes out. Respect the guy, don't like the wrestler, or don't like the character. He's a great wrestler from what I've seen in matches, of course, but he's too limited in his character to actually show that. So those would be my that's 7 people, but I don't really have a top 5, but those are some people that I don't like currently in the WWE and TNA. Paul asked, his question was, when do we see the fruition, or the coming of fruition, of a long-rumored WWE Cruiserweight show? And I've said this in the past. Some people don't agree with me, whatever. But I think we should have a Cruiserweight show on the WWE Network. I know it's been a rumor for about 2 years now that they would bring in a Cruiserweight show. Some people have said, why don't we have it on Raw? They would never give it any fucking time on Raw, I can tell you that much. I know it's a 3-hour show. Nitro used to do it in the first hour, they would dedicate to the cruiserweights. It's a different time. This is WWE. This is not WCW. This is not the 1990s. I would love to see that happen. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think WWE at all would dedicate an hour or much less 15 minutes to the cruiserweights on Raw. And I don't. There is enough talent. Some people have said we should have a minis division. I don't know about that, but a cruiserweight division I think would be very cool with guys like Tyson Kidd, Yoshitatsu, Evan Bourne, Sin Cara, Hunico, whatever you want to call him, Hunikara. But there's a lot of talent for a cruiserweight division. Put it on the network. Bring in more viewers. I think that'd be cool. You can bring back the cruiserweight championship if you want. I'm kind of against bringing back old titles or bringing in new titles for that case, because I don't think we need more titles. If anything, we need less championships to make them feel more prestigious, because the more titles we have, the less prestigious they are. If they're not treated prestigiously to begin with, then there's no fucking point. You might as well just give everyone a belt. But if you bring in a cruiserweight show on the network, maybe you can incorporate the cruiserweight championship. I don't know, but I would love to see a cruiserweight show on the a cruiserweight show dedicated to the cruiserweights on the WWE network. I know they're looking for more wrestling shows, and when that was rumored, I banged my head on the desk because I don't think we need more wrestling shows like a main event or superstars or whatever. We don't need more of those shows. But if you dedicate one of those shows to maybe the Divas division or the cruiserweights or whatever else, then it could be good. Gary W., his question was, when Neville and Devitt are finally put on the main roster, should a United Kingdom stable be made with Wade Barrett, Neville, Sheamus Devitt, William Regal as manager, etc.? The WWE is starting to really make use of stables similar to ECW's Prime or the Attitude Era. Also, what other stables can be made / improved? For example, the Real American. Should there be an addition of other stars? A United Kingdom stable I've been a huge fan of since it was first incorporated into WWE 12 a couple of years ago with Barrett, Sheamus, McIntyre, and Regal. I would love to see something like that. Kind of like a TNA. I know TNA did something similar a number of years ago, but the World Elite stable, that was kind of botched. They just kind of threw a lot of random people in there, and Eric Young as a leader, that was a little weird. He was taken seriously for a while before it just kind of bombed, but I think WWE could book it better with guys, like you said, a Barrett, a Neville, a Sheamus, a Devitt. I don't know how some of these guys would fare as heels, like a Neville. I don't know how he would go as the heel. But it would be interesting. It would be very, very cool. I'm liking how WWE is bringing in more stables into the WWE. Evolution, the Shield, the Wyatt family, 3MB, Los Matadores. I mean, 3MB and Los Matadores are no joke, but they are stables nonetheless. So that being said, I'm definitely in favor of a United Kingdom stable. That'd be great. In other stables that can be made / improved, should there be an addition of other stars? The Shield, no, keep them as is. The Wyatt family, I think they're fine as is. I know some people will say they should add more members, but they're fine as is. No need to add any more people. Trios are completely fine. Evolution, I mean, I've said this in this video series before, but I don't think Evolution needs to add any more stars. They're fine as is. Even when Batista leaves, I don't think they need to replace him with whoever, like a Roman Reigns or a Sheamus or whatever. Just leave Evolution as is, or don't even bother continuing it at all. Just bring it back when Batista comes back for the summer. The Real Americans, yeah, sure, I guess. I mean, Swagger isn't doing anything right now. He's feuding with Adam Rose. But I guess you can incorporate more American-made stars. I know Alex Riley put his name in the hat a couple months ago when Cesaro broke away. And I know Zeb Coulter is always looking for more Real Americans. They had a Cesaro last year, and they had a great tag team. So Riley would be a great candidate. I know he's doing stuff with commentary for NXT and the pre-show on Raw and stuff like that, but I would love to see him in the Real Americans if he ever comes back to wrestling. But yeah, I do think a stable like the Real Americans more stars could be added, but the Shield, Wyatt family, Evolution, I don't think those guys need more stars at all. Christian H., his question was, do you think Brock Lesnar will be world champion in 2014? If so, how would you book it? Yes, I think Brock Lesnar could and should be the world champion at some point. I know that sounds hypocritical because I was kind of against Rock being champion because he was never on TV, and more than likely Brock would never be on TV as well. And people would say, give him more money. I don't see that happening at all. He works limited dates. I don't think they're gonna add more dates to his contract just because he's champion. He's gonna skip shows, let's face it. But it's not even that I want to see Brock Lesnar as champion. It's more so that he kind of has to be champion. If he doesn't win the championship at all after breaking the Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania, then it's kind of pointless for him to break the streak in the first place because it gives him no credibility. I know he hasn't been on TV at all. He didn't work the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. But if he comes on, just destroys people, and I've said this since the start, but now that he's defeated The Undertaker, he should go undefeated until WrestleMania 31. So if this whole tournament or whatever else with the vacating of the WWE World Heavyweight title, we'll find out tonight on Raw, and if you watch this later on in the week, you'll probably already know by now. But if Brock Lesnar isn't champion by this thing, or maybe he will be by the summer, I think the best time personally to put the championship on Brock Lesnar would be in 2015 at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Some people might say SummerSlam or Survivor Series. I think he should go undefeated until WrestleMania. So if we're going to do it my way and we're going to do it my booking, and again, this is only my opinion, I would put the championship on him at Royal Rumble. Like The Rock, I mean, he was never on TV in those 3 months, but imagine if we have like a 5 or 6 month reign from Survivor Series to WrestleMania where Lesnar is hardly on TV, and I don't think he would be. So I wouldn't put the championship on him then, and in that case, he wouldn't be champion in 2014. So I would have to say 2015, but I don't doubt WWE would put the championship on him this year. I could very well see that happening, so I don't doubt it. But personally, I would put the championship on him at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, whether he defeats Daniel Bryan or whoever else. I think he will and should be the champion going into WrestleMania 31, or a guy like a Roman Reigns or a Cesaro should beat him for the title at WrestleMania. Victor T, his question was not really wrestling related, but his question was, have you ever worked in an entry-level / retail job? What was your worst experience with a customer? I have not, so I have not worked a entry-level / retail job, so I can't answer that question. But interesting question nevertheless. Time for the Twitter questions. This came from @XKingofBeards. They asked this question last week, but I didn't get to it because they gave it to me, or they sent it over after I had already filmed the video. So here it is. Their question was, thoughts on Ethan Carter III, EC3, now she's being booked so far. Ethan Carter / Derek Bateman in WWE was kind of hit or miss for me. I was a fan of him in WWE, but he was kind of more of a comedy character. And he is a good wrestler, so he was never really used to his full potential. I don't really think WWE missed the boat on him, not booking him correctly or whatever. I don't think, like, with Stone Cold Steve Austin, like in WCW, that they're going to be regretting firing him. I think this WWE, I think TNA has made good of EC3. I don't think he's the next WWE World Champion had he stayed with WWE. I don't think they missed the boat at all by firing him. They weren't using him at all, so I think it's fine that they fired him. TNA, they're just using him to his full potential. I don't think he was ever a big superstar to begin with, but the way that they're booking him, I think, is very good. He's got a heat magnet with Dixie Carter, so there's that. He's a good wrestler. He's getting better on the mic. He's improving his character. He's evolving. He's still undefeated to this day. He's defeated Sting. He's just defeated Kurt Angle a couple days ago. He's defeated Jeff Hardy. He's defeated a lot of superstars since he debuted in October. So how he's being booked so far, I think he's been booked very, very well. Like I said, still being undefeated to this day. Will he be world champion in TNA? I wouldn't doubt it, to be quite honest with you. I wouldn't have any problem with that. Because if they want to build up new stars and people are going to say, oh, ex-WWE guy. But who the fuck cares? I mean, the guy was in NXT for a while, for a long, long time, for like 3 or 4 years, FCW, whatever. And they never used him at all. So it's not like a Jeff Hardy or a Kurt Angle or Rob Van Dam, because those guys were top guys in WWE. EC3, people hardly remember him at all as Derek Bateman. So putting the World Championship on him, I would consider him more of a TNA guy at this point than a WWE guy, because they've been using him better in TNA than in WWE. He was hardly anything at all in WWE. So, yeah, I would put the world title on him at some point down the line if they do it. I wouldn't doubt that he could win the Bound for Glory series this year. I was thinking about that a couple days ago. I think he could win the BFG series and go on to Bound for Glory and win the World Championship. How much the world title means by now, I don't really know, because the title has been treated like shit for the last 2 or 3 years. But nevertheless, I think he could be World Championship material. I am a fan of EC3 and could see him as World Champion down the line. At JJF Tweets, his question was, more likely to never wrestle again, CM Punk or Chris Jericho? Great question. CM Punk. Jericho, I know he's busy right now with Fozzy, but he's been back in WWE 3 or 4 times. would not doubt at all that he will be back for a 5th run at some point in the near future. CM Punk, I think he could be contender if he never wrestles again. But CM Punk too, I've gone on the record and said this multiple times, and I know a lot of people get frustrated that I get asked CM Punk questions on multiple occasions, but nevertheless, and I am kind of annoyed with it too, but he's a relevant topic, so you got to discuss it. But CM Punk, I think, will be back in the WWE at some point. Whether it be anytime soon, I don't think so. From what I just recently read, he's getting married to AJ Lee in the very near future, so I could see him back in WWE next year, maybe later this year, in a couple years, a decade. I don't know. He will be back in the WWE, whether it be as an active performer or not. He will be back in WWE at some point. I can almost guarantee it. But I also do think he will be back as an active wrestler. It might not be, but I have a strong feeling that he will be. So more than likely to never wrestle again, though, to answer your question, CM Punk. Although I do think he will be back at some point. At the one and only KUID, his question was, give me your take on how WWE can make the tag team division more prominent, i.e. signings, call-ups, etc. The tag team division, I think, is doing better now than it's ever been in a number of years, dating back to, I think, last summer, about a year ago today, May 19th, 2014, when the Shield won the tag team titles from Team Hell No. Even Team Hell No were a very good tag team. They brought prestige back to those tag team titles, as did the Shield, excuse me. The Shield did, the Road Brothers did when they held the championships. The New Age Outlaws were just kind of paper champions. They just kind of held up to the Usos, who have been doing very well as tag team champions. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on the tag teams right now. How can they make it more prominent? Giving them more time, having the titles defended more often. With you said signings, call-ups, stuff like that. A tag team they should call up is the Ascension. I know a lot of people aren't huge fans of them. I am. I think they do have potential. They should be called up very soon to feud with the Usos. They dropped the titles at the TakeOver special to Kalisto and El Local. I'd be very happy because then the Ascension could go on to the main roster. And then go on to the main roster as champions. Anyway, just look at Paige, Big E. They've all been promoted to the main roster while still champions in NXT, so I wouldn't doubt it. But those are people that you can call up. For signing someone like the Wolves, they should have signed. I know they made a mistake down at NXT. They had a match against the Ascension, and they botched one of their moves or something dumb like that. And they didn't get the call up. They didn't get the signing from Triple H or whoever else. So they weren't signed by WWE. They're in TNA right now as the TNA World Tag Team Champions. So they should have signed them. I think they would have been great in the WWE. Bad influence. I don't think they'll ever give a second look at them. I know Kazarian is in his mid-30s. Daniels is in his 40s. I don't think they're ever going to sign those guys. But bringing them in would be great. The Motor City Machine Guns are on the free agent list right now, so I could see them WWE. If they were to sign them, I don't think they ever would. But those are some teams that I would call up to the WWE to make it feel more prominent. At Raw is Gibby. His question was, is it possible for Ryback to get into the main event? I don't think so. I mean, I think it is possible. And he was in the main event for some time in 2012 and 2013. A year ago today, he contended for the WWE title against John Cena in one of the headlining matches of Extreme Rules for the WWE title. So I could definitely see him in main event. At this point, I don't think it's possible because they've dropped the ball on him so much in the last year that I don't think it's possible that he'll ever main event or ever win a world championship. But never say never in pro wrestling. I guess if they repackage him, they rebuild him back up, I guess it is possible. The biggest mistake they ever made with Ryback was turning him heel. I think he does have potential as a heel, and he is entertaining at times. But they turned him heel way too quickly, which was what the issue was. To get to no reaction as a heel, he was better off as a face. He had the crown in the palm of his hands whenever he did the "Feed Me More" chant. So that's the biggest issue with Ryback as a heel, that he was better off as a face. So if they ever turn him back face again, give him back the "Feed Me More" thing, I could see him in the main event, but more than likely, I do not see Ryback winning a world championship in WWE. At Greg Lowenfeld 14, his question was, what is your favorite WrestleMania moment? I can't really speak for moments that I haven't seen. I know I've watched WrestleMania 17, 19, 20, and 21 on the network. I don't want to say one of those moments is my favorite Mania moment because I wasn't there for it, so it's different. Based on Mania moments that I have seen, I would have to go with Rock beating Cena. I thought that was a great moment at WrestleMania 28. That was a shocker for me personally. I thought that was great. When Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H walked up the stage at WrestleMania 28, that was great. What else? This year when Daniel Bryan won the world title, that was one of my favorite moments as well. The opening segment between Hogan, Rock, and Stone Cold, one of the best moments in WrestleMania history. So any of those are my favorite. I don't have a defining moment. I think that's still to come. But all of those are great. I know people are going to say, "Oh, why did you say Stone Cold winning the WWE title or something like that?" Because I know I've seen it on the network. Don't think I haven't seen it. There are many moments of WrestleMania, many WrestleMania moments I've yet to see on the network and whatever else because I wasn't there at the time. But I don't know. I just don't feel right saying those moments are my favorite because I wasn't there to experience it. I just experienced it 10, 15 years later. It's not the same. You know what I mean? So I would have to go with what I've seen, and those are the moments that I've seen at 28 and 30. So at Churns Awesome 94, his question was, who could you see maybe taking the Divas Championship off of Paige? Good question. Paige just won the championship a month ago. Some people have said Alicia Fox, and while I have liked what she's done in the last week or so on Raw and main event with her meltdowns and whatever, which is really cool, bringing back interest in the Divas division, I don't think you should put the championship on her anytime soon. Natalya looks to be headed towards a heel turn, which is okay. I mean, she's better as a babyface, but she's so freaking annoying on Total Divas. I guess you might as well transfer that heat from Total Divas to the main roster. So that's okay. So maybe Natalya at some point. She hasn't held the championship in 4 years since 2010. Naomi is definitely a big candidate. She should have won the title a couple months ago. She got injured, so we'll never know. But Naomi, I think, is deserving of a run at some point. Emma and Paige could put out on a hell of a feud like they did down in NXT. I know they were both face, and they could be face if they ever feud in the main roster, but turning Paige heel at some point and having her feud that they face Emma could be great. I compare it to Trish and Lita from a couple years ago, and I did the same thing with AJ and Caitlyn, and nothing will ever match what Trish and Lita ever did, but this is the closest that we will ever get to Trish and Lita with Paige and Emma because they have great matches. The story is there from NXT, real life best friends. So any of those three women, Natalya, Naomi, or Emma, I could definitely see taking the title off of Paige. Some people may say AJ when she comes back, but AJ had her time. I don't want to see her taking the title off with Paige when she eventually comes back. And the final question comes from at Sal D'Angelo Jr. His question was, who should they put the title on until Bryan comes back for an undisputed title match? We were talking about this last week on Wrestle Rant Radio. There aren't many people to put the title on right now. The Shield is currently involved with Evolution. Bray Wyatt is involved with John Cena right now, so they're doing that. I don't want to see the title on Kane. I mean, I like Kane, but it's 2014. You don't need to put the championship on him 15 years after his debut. I don't think that's really necessary. If we're talking, I don't really know. There aren't many top stars right now in WWE that aren't really doing anything. I would have said Sheamus a couple months ago, but he just turned, he's not healed yet, but he's United States champion right now, so that's a no-go. Bad News Barrett is busy. None of the Shield members should win the world title anytime soon, maybe later down the line, but not right now. Bray Wyatt is not ready yet for a world title run. So it really comes down to any member of Evolution and John Cena. I know people are going to say, oh, that's not fresh. They've held the title before. I understand that, but those are the only people that really make sense right now. If Daniel Bryan isn't going to be around, if he has to be stripped of the championship. Triple H is a no. He's not an active performer. Batista, I would put the title on, but he's going to be going soon, so probably not Batista. Randy Orton, we saw that. He was not a good world champion. He had that shitty match with Big Show. He had a good match with Cena at TLC, but that was just about it. Randy Orton, if you go back and look, honest to God, he hasn't won a singles match since early February in 3.5 fucking months. So he has been booked terribly. So, no, I don't want to see him. I don't want to see the championship back on him for another terrible reign. So John Cena, I guess, is the only guy that makes sense. I mean, it pains me to say that, but John Cena is really the only guy that makes sense right now. We've seen the title on him 14 times before. I understand that, but especially if it leads to an undisputed title match when Bryan gets back, or even if Bryan comes back without a title and he comes back to feud with the champion for the belt, and he comes back with a SummerSlam pay-per-view, him versus Cena 2 from a SummerSlam a year prior would be great for the rematch, the much-anticipated rematch, and Cena's always said whenever he's won a championship, he would give the first title shot to Daniel Bryan. So that being said, I can very well see Daniel Bryan versus Cena 2 at SummerSlam this year. So Cena would be my case to put the title on. Anyone else doesn't really make sense right now. Batista's leaving. Triple H is not an active performer. Randy Orton was a terrible champion. Been there, done that. And the Shield isn't ready, and Bray Wyatt isn't ready. So I would go with John Cena right now. Although it pains me to say that, he makes the most sense. So with all that being said, thanks for watching, guys. Always appreciate it. Like I said before, the final time you will see me filming hashtag AskGSM in this setting. I will be back in my own house later today to film more videos for you in the coming weeks for the next 3 months while I'm home. So very much looking forward to that. Always appreciate your viewing, guys. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You can send in a question on Twitter at RussellRant with the hashtag AskGSM, or on Facebook, Graham GSM Matthews. Just leave a comment on the wall, or even leave a comment down below, and I'll include it in next week's video. So thanks for watching, guys. Always appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe. And this is GSM signing up. Till next week, guys.